guys, I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be a new series that I'm going to be introducing, and it is the pattern making series. So the first episode this week is going to be me doing the close fitting bodice block, actually drafting it and sewing the sample of it. And then next week is me actually designing an item of clothing, so it, sort of fits in. So I hope it isn't going to be too boring, and I hope everyone will enjoy this series. I think it'll be quite fun. So today's plan of action is to draft this close fitting bodice block with the textbook I have next to me. And then from that, we're going to do a sample of it and then see how it fits and then fix it if there's gaping in any areas. The only thing you really actually need, well, people are going to ask, what do you need to actually draft pattern pieces? And it's not that difficult. So the first thing you're going to need, you can do any type of paper. That's the paper I'm going to be using today for both the front and back bodice. And then you will need some sort of long ruler. So I've got a really long ruler, and you're also going to need different types of curving tools or rulers. So I've already got all of these. Obviously you're going to need a pencil and then some scissors to cut it out. And that's pretty much all you need for this. The measurements I need is bust, nape to waist, waist to hip, arm side depth, neck size, shoulder, back width, and chest. Okay, so once you've taken all the required measurements, the ones that we've just done, what I'm going to do now is that I'm just going to glue these two pieces of paper together so we have a large surface to do our pattern making on. So over this time, let me show you what the pattern piece should look like. I've already annotated on this. This is what the pattern piece should look like at the end of it. There's two darts. There's a front dart and a back dart, and those are the only two darts that are actually in this pattern piece. So I've got all the instructions here. Like I said, I've already annotated it. To begin with our pattern making, the first thing that I really had to do is we're just creating the outer box in which the pattern pieces are going to be placed within. So it is very simple. It's basically your measurements to get the right measurements for your center front as well as your center back. So here, as you can see, this is going to be our hip line and our waistline, but it's just boxy at the moment. It's just an outline of where the pattern piece is going to be. It's nothing too serious. So I've just drafted the basic pattern block to the front and back. So it's a huge pattern block that is massive. Well, it's not too massive. And then the two pattern blocks will be drafted within it. At this moment, it's been very chilled. Nothing too hectic. I need a calculator because I'm really bad at math, but don't judge. And now we're working on our back bodice, the shoulder line. So those 2 points already there is going to be our neckline, and now we are measuring out where our shoulder line is going to be, which is what I'm drawing in right now. So that's going to be our shoulder line, and then from that we're going to get the midpoint of that line to get our dart. So that's what I'm measuring out. And the dart has to be 1 centimeter in width, so it's 0.5 centimeters on each side of the dart, which you have to make sure you properly plot out. So I'm just redoing some lines here because I realized I was doing it wrong. And then from that, we're now going to measure our waistline. Well, our waistline's already measured out, but we are going to be connecting that to our previous shoulder line, or a little bit under our shoulder line. And here we're getting another midpoint, which is going to create into our waistline, and then that's going to go all the way down to the hip line at the bottom. Okay, so here is a little bit of an update regarding the pattern piece. So we have only done our shoulder line, and down here I have just written here that we have our back pattern piece, that's our waistline, and then this should go down to our hip. So it goes hip, waist, our back, and then this is the top half of our pattern piece. So now we're gonna work on our front bodice. So we're doing the exact same thing, working on our neckline points, which, foreshadowing, they don't actually fit me that well. But here, once again, we're doing the exact same thing, measuring the midpoint and then bringing that down to our waistline and then as well as our hip line. So it's very, very simple things at this moment. And then from that middle point there, this is where we're going to create our 7 centimeter dart. So if I'm not mistaken, we go down by 5 centimeters and then our neckline point goes straight to that midpoint. And then we measure again, and then that's going to be the other side of our dart, which is 7 centimeters. And then we connect the two lines together to form our huge 7 centimeter dart. Here I'm just working on the back bodice's shoulder line again. So we extend that by 10 centimeters. And then the 10 centimeter is where my front shoulder line should go, but I made a mistake. So that's a little bit of a foreshadow. And I'm bringing it up so that we can draw in our arm hole. So right there, that's our side seam between the front and back bodice. Well, these little points is where the armhole should connect to. And that is where I'm connecting my armhole in place for the back bodice. The front bodice took a bit of a different turn because I measured my shoulder length wrong, but we don't talk about that at this moment. So you can see I've added another paper so I could have a 17 centimeter shoulder length, but I actually have a 12 centimeter. I don't know how I messed that up so much, but here I am just doing all the curved necklines for every single neckline, armhole that there is on the pattern piece. So here's my pattern piece for the back bodice. We've got a 1 centimeter dart there. We've got a bit of a neckline going on. It's looking a little janky. We've got our armhole, and then we've got our waistline and our hip line all the way at the bottom. So here's the pattern piece for the front bodice. We've got a huge dart that extends throughout the pattern. It's looking so janky, but I'm hoping this turns out really well. I am back. It's been a rough minute. I've cut my pattern pieces out. I put all the darts in. I pinned it, and now we need to sew all these darts. Off the bat, my neck feels like I'm going to explode. The neck needs to be bigger, but other than that, I think it fits well. I have not closed the back. If I were to place it normally, I feel like this is also fits nicely on the back. I don't know, I'm gonna have to review this footage to see because I can't see behind me. I think the neckline's just way too tight. The only thing I'll do is I'll take more off these shoulders. Back with a little update. It's been a few hours. I redrafted the pattern piece and I didn't make it as long. I cut it at the waistline, which it is now at the waistline. But this is what she looks like now. The only thing, if anyone can actually see, can you see there's like gaping that's happening at the back of the neck? That's one thing that's going on. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. There's a little bit of gaping here and behind the arm. So it's now day 2 of trying to fix this pattern piece, and I've just got a little list here that is what I want to try to fix on this pattern piece. We had was the back neckline, so it was gaping a bit, so we need to fix that on the pattern piece. The front neckline, it was also gaping, so we need to drop the shoulder. The side seams, I want it to be a bit more slimmer, so it's not as boxy looking. And then at the armhole on the back pattern piece, it was gaping a little bit, so I just want to cut that open and remove some fabric there. So how are we going to fix the first problem for the back neckline is that we actually have to remove some of this neckline away. And then in terms of trying to fix the front neckline, we have to drop this shoulder a bit more so it's not as steep With the armhole, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make a dart in here, and then I'm going to move the dart so that the dart is closed. The side seams, it's really easy. You just take a little bit off the side seams. So hopefully this is going to go as planned and there's no other problems from doing what I've done. I hope. Fingers crossed. In this section, I'm just sloping my shoulder line a bit more on my pattern piece so that it fits my shoulder length a bit better on my neck. And then with this, I'm just going to move my shoulder dart to more of a waist dart, so it's not such a huge dart there. So you can see I'm just lining it up to make sure that it's going to fit the neckline and cut any excess if the neckline's a little bit longer. So it's really self-explanatory. It's all about moving things around and making sure it's the same length, because you don't want to sew something and then it's squiff. Making sure it all lines up, that neckline and the new shoulder line. And then now I'm going to create a new 7cm dart that's by the waist, but first I'm just fixing the side seam up so it slopes a bit better and it's a little more snug. And here is my 7cm dart. So I'm just measuring 7cm off of that bust point, and then you just cut it out, and then we are going to slash and split it now. So we are going to glue that shoulder dart together so it's no longer there, and we have our 12cm shoulder line now. I'm just going to fix up the shoulder dart so it's equal on both sides and it's not, you know, with squonk. So we're going to take 7cm and divide it by 2 to see how much should be on each side of the dart. You can do that maths in your own head. When it comes to the back bodice, I sort of did a pivot method, because the shoulder seam, if you think about it, if you increase your dart on your shoulder length, it's going to make the shoulder length smaller. So you have to extend your shoulder length so that it's going to fit your new shoulder with a 2cm dart, because I put a bigger dart to remove that excess fabric that is on the side of the armhole in essence. So here's a little bit of an update. I have cut out the pattern pieces, basically pin the darts in place. I'm hoping this does not mess something up. And I checked the shoulder lines on the new dart. That's the 2cm dart that I inserted, and the shoulders match up when I've pinned them. So everything's going good at this moment. I'm just super scared with these front darts that it's gonna cause bagging somewhere around the chest. So I hope that doesn't happen, but you know, we are going to keep learning. This is gonna be my third sample now, and I'm very scared, but let's sew these darts in. This excess that's here, I think I need to drop the shoulders a little bit more. This seam can come in a bit more, but if I sew this down now like that, like I won't be able to get this thing off. It's going to fit so much nicer. So I'm actually really chuffed with this. It's just this freaking collar here that I'm gonna pin down. And the only thing is that because I've got such a fat head, is that it's very hard to get things over my head. I've got such a huge head that it's very difficult. So this is the back. I literally just pinned down on either side, and you see it's no longer gaping. That is literally the only issue. Also, I don't really know what's going on here with the, it's sort of cutting in to my arm a bit. Really happy with this. I mean, obviously it's in calico, so it's looking janky and it doesn't look amazing, but I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. So the only thing I really actually have to do now is that I'm going to take this off with the pins on them. Hopefully they don't go flying off. I might just mark it a bit and then edit that on the pattern piece, and then I'm ready to go for next week. I could be lying to myself. Other people might think this looks disgusting, but I think this fits so nicely. I think this is going to be great. I hope. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry if it was boring, because it was kind of boring, but you know what can you do? It's all about learning, I guess. But if you haven't already, please comment down anything. If you have any questions or if you want help on anything, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for the design from that pattern piece, and Yeah. Goodbye.